In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football conference games happening on September 14, 2024, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Alabama versus Wisconsin. The 4th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide are set to hit the road to face the Wisconsin Badgers in a highly anticipated showdown between Power 5 conference teams this Saturday afternoon. Alabama, under the leadership of first-year head coach Kalen DeBoer, has gotten off to a strong 2-0 start following a hard-fought win against South Florida last weekend. Meanwhile, Wisconsin also comes into this matchup undefeated at 2-0 after securing a victory over South Dakota earlier this week. These two programs have a sparse history, having met for the first time nearly a century ago, 96 years to be exact, and they've only faced off once more since then. The teams are tied in the head-to-head series, but it was the Crimson Tide who came out victorious in their more recent encounter in 2015 with a 35-17 win. Alabama must be careful not to overlook this game while eyeing a crucial matchup against number 1 Georgia next week. Given that this will be their first road game of the season, they should remain mentally sharp and focused. One thing to watch is whether Alabama finally lets Heisman hopeful quarterback Jalen Milroe showcase his skills, as Wisconsin's defense hasn't faced much of a challenge yet. This could be the perfect opportunity for Milroe to shine. The Badgers will likely attempt to load the box to slow down Alabama's powerful rushing attack, but they struggled to contain much weaker opponents like Western Michigan and South Dakota. Perhaps even more worrying for Wisconsin is their offensive inconsistency, especially when facing softer defenses. Alabama's defense, being significantly more formidable, will likely present an enormous challenge for the Badgers, making it difficult for them to move the ball effectively. While Wisconsin has managed to secure 2 wins so far, neither victory came with the kind of dominant performance expected from a top-tier team. Now, they face a significant jump in competition as they prepare to host the Crimson Tide. If this game were scheduled later in the season when the weather was cooler, Wisconsin might have had a better chance. However, with ideal conditions expected on Saturday, Alabama's superior team speed will likely be too much for the Badgers to handle. The Crimson Tide demonstrated just how explosive they can be in their 4th quarter performance against South Florida, where they scored 28 points, turning a tight game into a one-sided affair. For Wisconsin to remain competitive, they'll need Alabama to make costly mistakes in the form of penalties or turnovers. Although the Crimson Tide have been prone to penalties in recent seasons, they have consistently found ways to overcome these issues and continue winning. Wisconsin quarterback Van Dyke had a difficult time when facing better competition at Miami, and things won't get any easier against Alabama's formidable defensive front. Expect Alabama to dominate the ground game, setting up opportunities for their speedy receivers to make big plays, while Wisconsin struggles to avoid constant third and long situations. I did consider taking Wisconsin with the points because it's rare to see the Badgers as such significant underdogs. In fact, this marks only the 5th time since 2019 that Wisconsin has been a double-digit underdog. However, the Badgers have looked sluggish on offense through their first 2 games and were locked in a close battle with South Dakota, a game that remained a one-possession contest entering the 4th quarter. Alabama, on the other hand, remains a talented, defensively strong team with the type of athletes that Wisconsin rarely encounters in Big Ten play. This feels like a game where Alabama's depth and talent will eventually wear down the Badgers, so the Crimson Tide will win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Both Alabama and Wisconsin have leaned heavily on their rushing attacks during non-garbage time plays through the first 2 weeks of the season, with both teams ranking in the top 35 in rushing rate. They've been effective on the ground as well, with each team placing in the top 25 in rush PPA. Unfortunately for Wisconsin, their passing game is not nearly as reliable as Alabama's. The Badgers rank outside the top 80 in pass play PPA and outside the top 120 in pass explosiveness. This means that if Alabama jumps out to an early lead, Wisconsin may struggle to mount a comeback. The Crimson Tide, on the other hand, rank in the top 10 in both pass PPA and pass explosiveness, and their balanced attack will likely allow them to build an early lead. Once they do, Alabama will probably lean on their efficient ground game to control the clock and limit Wisconsin's offensive opportunities, especially with a bye week and the start of conference play looming on the horizon. Alabama's defense is likely to be the defining factor in this game. Despite facing inferior opponents in their first 2 weeks, Wisconsin only averaged 27.5 points per game, largely relying on their ground game to wear down weaker teams. However, they won't have that luxury against Alabama's dominant front four, which has excelled through the first 2 weeks of the season. Alabama currently ranks 9th in the nation against the run, which means Wisconsin will find themselves in far too many third and long situations, a scenario they've shown they are not comfortable with. While Alabama's offense is more than capable of putting points on the board against Wisconsin's defense, it's unlikely that this game will surpass the projected point total. Given my lack of confidence in Wisconsin's ability to score, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Boston College versus Missouri. As the weekend approaches, we are treated to another thrilling lineup of college football action. Among the standout matchups is a highly anticipated game between the 24th-ranked Boston College Eagles and the 6th-ranked Missouri Tigers, with the Eagles hitting the road for this encounter. Both teams have started their season strong, each boasting a 2-0 record and aiming to carry that momentum into Week 4 with an unblemished record. Oddsmakers, however, have positioned Missouri as a hefty 17-point favorite in this contest. Boston College has excelled in the trenches this season and is poised to test Missouri's defense, which has yet to face significant pressure. The Eagles' ground game is led by a formidable group, including Castellanos, who is averaging 5.4 yards per carry, Robachalks with 4.5 yards per carry, Wade at an impressive 6.6 yards per carry, and Richard, who is also contributing 5.4 yards per carry. Together, they will look to keep the chains moving on the ground. Castellanos has also proven effective in the passing game, completing 73.1% of his passes, particularly excelling on intermediate routes. Boston College's strategy will likely revolve around controlling the pace of the game through their ground attack, limiting Missouri's time of possession. The Eagles performed admirably against Florida State's tough defensive front and should approach Missouri's defense with confidence, despite the Tigers having retooled with several transfers following the departures of key defenders like Darius Robinson, Jalen Carleys, Ennis Rakestraw Jr., and Chris Abrams drained from last year's dominant unit. Missouri's offense has been highly productive, but the question remains whether they can significantly outperform Boston College's attack. I don't see that happening. This will mark Missouri's first real test of the season, and they'll face a Boston College team that has already proven it can disrupt the plans of top-tier opponents, as seen in their victory over Florida State. While Missouri should be able to move the ball against Boston College's defense, they are not immune to faltering when things don't go as planned, even with their offense clicking at its best. While I expect Missouri to ultimately win, especially with the home field advantage, I believe the oddsmakers are underestimating Boston College in this matchup. Missouri has dominated its first 2 games, outscoring opponents by a combined 89-0, but those victories came against an football championship subdivision team and a group of 5 program that went 3-9 last year. Boston College, on the other hand, has already proven itself in a hostile environment, defeating the 10th-ranked Florida State Seminoles on the road by 15 points and then delivering a similarly dominant performance against its own football championship subdivision opponent. Missouri, being a top 10 team at home, naturally enjoys the benefit of the doubt from oddsmakers. However, Boston College has shown enough on both sides of the ball for me to lean toward taking the points. The Eagles are running the ball at an elite level and have received solid play from their quarterback. Furthermore, Boston College has covered the spread in 6 of its last 9 games as a double-digit underdog, with their last 2 games resulting in outright wins, including this season's impressive victory over Florida State. In contrast, Missouri has struggled against the spread, covering just 5 of its last 14 games as a double-digit favorite. Boston College brings an old-school football mentality, giving off the sense that they won't simply roll over and allow their opponent to dominate. The Eagles rely on their running game and solid defense, a combination that may not always be flashy, but it gets the job done. While Missouri deserves to be favored in this matchup, I expect Boston College to keep things close and certainly within 17 points. Therefore, the Boston College to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Looking at the defensive capabilities of both teams, they have combined to allow only 13 points through their first 2 games. Both squads will continue to lean heavily on their defenses as the season progresses. players. Although each team has put up 50 points in individual games this year, those performances came against lower-tier football championship subdivision opponents and are not indicative of what we should expect heading into Saturday's game. Both Boston College and Missouri rely heavily on their rushing attacks, which will help chew up the clock and limit the overall scoring potential. Missouri has been stingy on defense, allowing fewer than 300 total yards of offense thus far, while Boston College held a top 10 team with playoff ambitions, Florida State, to just 13 points. While another shutout for either team is highly unlikely, we should still anticipate a relatively low-scoring contest. Making under the projected total is our full game total pick. Ball State versus Miami, Florida. This Week 3 non-conference matchup is set to be a thrilling contest as the Ball State Cardinals face off against the 10th-ranked Miami Hurricanes. The game will take place at the Hard Rock Stadium in steamy South Florida on September 14th, airing on the Atlantic Coast Conference Network. With the Cardinals coming into this game at 1-0 and the Hurricanes boasting a 2-0 record, fans can expect an exciting showdown. Both teams have shown strong offensive capabilities, and this game promises to be an entertaining one for football enthusiasts. While the Miami Hurricanes are clearly the superior team in this matchup, the point spread may seem a bit wide for some. The Hurricanes have been nothing short of dominant in their first 2 games, averaging an impressive 48.5 points per game. Their offense, led by quarterback Cam Ward and running back Damian Martinez, has been consistently moving the football and racking up points. On the other hand, the Ball State Cardinals also have a capable offense, but they face an uphill battle against Miami's defense. Adding to their struggles, Ball State has lost its last 13 road games and failed to cover the spread in its last 7 September road games. The Ball State Cardinals are in the midst of yet another rebuilding year, having won only 4 games last season. Expectations are not high for them to perform much better this year. Meanwhile, the Miami Hurricanes are considered one of the top teams in the Atlantic Coast Conference and are off to a hot start. Their season opener saw them defeat Florida, a team from the Southeastern Conference, by a decisive 24-point margin. With this in mind, the point spread for this game seems entirely justified. Furthermore, Miami boasts an elite quarterback in Cam Ward, who has already racked up 389 and 300 passing yards in his first 2 games of the season. Ball State's pass defense, which ranked 80th last year and now sits at 101st in the Football Bowl subdivision this season, will likely struggle to contain Ward's explosive play. Offensively, the Cardinals were one of the worst teams in the Football Bowl subdivision last year, and their quarterback posted a less than impressive 3-5 touchdown to interception ratio in 4 games. It's difficult to imagine them making much of an impact against Miami's strong defense. Heading into this game, Miami is seeking its 3rd consecutive win to start the season. And with one of the nation's top quarterbacks at the helm, they are poised to keep the momentum going. Cam Ward has already delivered stellar performances in his first 2 outings, and he should continue that trend here. Ball State's defense struggled to contain the passing attack of Missouri State, and they're likely to face even greater challenges against Miami. While the Cardinals might put together a few offensive drives, Miami has the firepower to score on virtually every possession if they choose to. As a result, the Miami Hurricanes to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Miami Hurricanes improved to 2-0 after an overwhelming 56-9 victory over the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical Rattlers, a football championship subdivision team. Miami outgained Florida Agricultural and Mechanical by a wide margin, amassing 549 total yards to the Rattlers' 190. The Hurricanes allowed just 4.9 yards per pass and 2.1 yards per rush, while their offense averaged 5.9 yards per carry and 9.8 yards per pass. Quarterback Cam Ward had a standout performance with 304 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. On the other side, the Ball State Cardinals entered this matchup with a 1-0 record after a rare Week 1 bye and a 42-34 victory over Missouri State in Week 2. The Cardinals and Bears were tied at 14 points heading into the 4th quarter before both teams erupted for a combined 48 points in the final period. It's clear that Miami has no intention of taking its foot off the gas offensively, as they racked up 56 points against an football championship subdivision opponent last week and have scored a combined 97 points in just 2 games. There's little reason to believe the Hurricanes will slow down against Ball State this weekend. The Cardinals, who allowed 34 points to an football championship subdivision opponent in Missouri State, are in for a tough challenge. Since 2021, Ball State has allowed at least 44 points to each of the 4 power conference opponents they have faced, with those games averaging nearly 58 total points. Miami's offense is firing on all cylinders, Badgers, and while they could hit the total by themselves, Ball State should also contribute a couple of scores to push the total even higher. With 4 returning offensive linemen who played in tough road games at Kentucky and Georgia last season, Ball State's offensive line should be able to handle the moment. The Cardinals also have some size at wide receiver, giving quarterback Caden Simmons opportunities to target deep down the field, provided his line holds up against Miami's pressure. Ball State has made a significant change with a new offensive coordinator, and early signs of improvement from quarterback Caden Simmons were evident in the season opener. The Cardinals totaled 435 yards of offense, including 262 passing yards, in their victory last week. On the other hand, Miami's offense looks equally dangerous, with quarterback Cam Ward already amassing 689 passing yards over 2 games. Ball State's defense gave up 34 points to Missouri State, which doesn't bode well for their chances of slowing down Miami's explosive offense. The over is a convincing 5-0 in the Hurricanes' last 5 games, and this game has all the makings of a shootout. Given both teams' ability to score over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.